There's a line said by the wrinkly old goblin plastered on every Star Wars motivational quote board, which is,
"Do or do not. There is no try."
a wholesome message to tell people that you're not rewarded for trying. To try is to have it in your mind that you can fail. So to do or to do not eliminates that doubt which is needed to succeed. It's basically just telling the viewer to just put your all into something. And the context that it was set in encapsulates everything that I think is hopeful about Star Wars. Luke in the scene fails to lift his X-Wing out of the bog pit of Dagobah, and that's because he doesn't fully believe in the power of the Force. He says the task is impossible, but Yoda knows otherwise because the Force is this innate thing that is tied to your conviction, and to use it well is to know for certain that you can do the task at hand. You must believe not just in the Force but in yourself. You cannot doubt. There cannot be a try. Yet, in one of Andor's many powerful speeches, we get the voice of Nemik reading his manifesto, which he ends with the last word,
"Remember this. Try."
And why would they write it this way, when the old farts quote has been seared into the minds of fans? Would they essentially be telling us that the rebels can only doubt themselves? Why say it this way? Let's find out. Before I started thinking about the speech, I was of the opinion that Andor was one of the best Star Wars shows, but it wasn't necessarily Star Wars. I do certainly think it uses the backdrop of the lore well. The context that the Empire is this evil tyrannical regime doesn't need to be explained because we've seen hundreds of hours of content about that. But as the series went on, and as I got more invested, I started to think, you could replace all the set pieces and this would still be just as good of a show. Change the Empire's flag, what the stormtroopers look like, TIE fighters into just generically evil spaceship, just scrub all the Star Wars references out, and I'd think I'd still love this piece of media just as much. And the lack of Star Wars, I think, is because this is the first show that doesn't have a... What we've always been shown is that the moment a lightsaber ignites, the hero is here to save the day. The wizard with the magic sword will rally the troops and use their mystical power to clinch victory from the jaws of defeat. But this show went in to answer the question, what about everyone that never got that? The message I think Andor is trying to tell us is that people who are not Jedi, the normal, everyday, regular dudes who have to stand up and fight, they don't have the luxury of do or do not. All they have is try. To the Jedi, balance is real. Like, they can literally feel the Force in their bones. They have proof that all they need to do is do or do not. They have the power to see the change they make because they are the people who have more abilities than anyone else in the galaxy. In Star Wars media, the ignition of a lightsaber, the arrival of the Jedi, is a changed tide of battle because the Jedi have this immense power and can be the source of change as just one person. But there are so many other rebels, people in Star Wars who died so that they can make this change. To them, there was no do or do not. To all the other people that aren't Jedi, the only thing they have is this belief that they're fighting for the right thing. They don't have some spiritual power they can connect with. All they have is flesh and blood. And everyone that gives their lives to the dominoes topple so that they can get Luke in the position to destroy the Death Star, to eventually redeem his father so that the prophecy can be fulfilled. For every inch forward they had to pay with their blood, there isn't a prophecy these people can believe in. Because they don't have the same connection to the Force that the Jedi do. So all they have to believe in is the fact that they have to try. And to try is to believe in failure, while the Jedi don't have to do that. They have the luxury of power. To them, all they have to do is either succeed at their job or they fail. But to the average person, to the everyday rebel, they will never know that their acts of insurrection will lead to victory. They can only hope that the future that they're fighting for is a brighter one as they go down. We see this time and time in every Andor arc. Luthen is not sure about his plan because the rebels are never assured anything, so he brings Cassian on as assurance. All that he can do is try in this situation. Kino Loy gives a rousing speech to inspire the prison to rise up and fight their way out. When I watch the series back with my friends for a second time, it's a tragedy of knowing that this guy knows he's cooked. He knows he can't swim, and I think it's part of the reason why he's so apprehensive to the rebellion, because he has to believe that the system works, that he will eventually be freed, because otherwise he has no chance to escape. But all he can do is try to make it out and see the sun, and hope somehow that there's a ship that he'll be able to ride out. And there isn't. And he did it. He tried and he succeeded, but he failed. Marva did not know her speech would work. She has to die before she can even begin to try. And I think this plays into how I think Andor will end, which is with everyone dying. We know that everyone that appears in Rogue One is already cooked. A lot of the cool characters we've met in the show, they're all dead. And all these deaths, they've been martyrs. What I think the theme of the show is that all martyrs can do is try. They have to hope that their message, this thing that they're fighting for, live far past their death so that their sacrifices are worth it. Because when you die, you will never be able to make sure that you succeed, that the thing that you're fighting for keeps going. You have to embrace the fact that it might fail. so that you can give it a chance to succeed. Honestly, I'm excited for the show. I don't think it needs a season 2, but it is warmly welcome. You've seen Andor become a rebel this season, and I want to see the depths he'll go to keep the mission going. This is a guy who killed an informant at the beginning of Rogue One. I want to see that the Rebel Alliance almost as bad as the Empire, and how much that line gets blurred for victory. These writers, they've earned my trust, and if Clone Wars wasn't such a masterpiece, this would take the cake for me as the best Star Wars show. But I do think it's the best show Star Wars has ever made, if you get the difference. Anyway, I'm just looking forward to seeing these people trying. So, that's all I guys say. Bye-bye.